4 games. And Lindor blasts one to deep right field. Back goes Stowers at the wall. It's out of here. Francisco Lindor.
Jose hammers one deep to left field. Back is Hayward. He's out of room. It's out of here. And the Guardians will play from in front. Acuna to right field. And deep. And gone. Ronald Acuna Jr. with a laser.
Hey, you are now listening to the Baseball Aficionado podcast. Happy to be with you once more. Of course, welcome on to another edition of the Baseball Aficionado podcast. If you are watching on YouTube, please hit the like, comment, subscribe. It helps us grow. Not only that, but we love to keep the interaction going. Please do so. And of course, make sure to follow the Baseball Aficionado on all social media platforms, of course, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, wherever you are, we have our content there, definitely. And last but not least, of course, don't forget to check out our exclusive merch, of Baseball Aficionado, which is available at bbaficionado.com, bbaficionado.com. You get 10% off your first purchase. We got hats, we got tees. This right here that I'm wearing is called the Swagman official snapback cap. I'm wearing the hoodie, the Swagman with the Swagman logo. He's wearing a big gold chain, all that. We got hats, tees, hoodies, all kinds of things inspired by Latino baseball culture. Of course, get 10% off your purchase, bbaficionado.com. Now, this is a topic that I really want to discuss. There are several topics at hand. The main topic at hand, which is what I'm going to get into right away, MLB investigating academy corruption in La República Dominicana, as the reports continue to surface on a lot of the corruption, the things that have gone on, whether it's administering performance-enhancing drugs to minors, potential prospects out there, MLB teams with their practices as far as like canceling verbal agreements due to this, due to that, age fraud, all types of things that are running rampant in República Dominicana and has been the case for many, many years. We've had a couple years ago, there was a young man named Ismael, ¿cómo que se llamaba? A very sad case in La República Dominicana, Israel Ureña Perez, who sadly passed away after it was discovered that he had horse steroids in his system. And that's just one of the many, many cases. As a matter of fact, a lot of these academies over there in República Dominicana go out of their way to make sure that these cases disappear. So we're going to get into that. I'm going to discuss that, give my thoughts on it. Is an international draft the answer? We're going to talk about that, and I'm going to give my thoughts on that. Obviously, a couple days ago, José Altuve picked up his 2400 hit of his illustrious career. I'm going to give my thoughts on that. Can José Altuve reach the 3,000 hit mark? And of course, Aroldis Chapman picked up his 370th save as he gets closer to 400 saves. Is he a Hall of Famer? I will give you my thoughts on that. So without further ado, let's get to the first topic at hand. I want to talk about MLB investigating the corruption in DR. So I want to talk about this because I feel like a couple things. Number one, not enough people are talking about this, and I don't think it's a coincidence. Yo he visto un montón de plataformas, ¿verdad? En las redes sociales de las plataformas dominicanas y eso, y nadie está hablando de esto. And I want to say it's shameful that they aren't speaking of this. I do want to give a shout out to Warner Madrigal, who has been someone who has been championing the idea of having transparency in the academy process, the recruiting, the scouting, the development of young players in his native Dominican Republic. So a big shout out to un saludo para Warner Madrigal, who is out there online. A guy who really continues to champion for doing the right thing in Dominican Republic, right? But one of the things that I notice is that you got to really struggle to find this information. Like it's a struggle. You got to go deep within the depths of the internet to find any sort of information. And I don't think that's an accident, right? I think legitimately there is multiple blame to go around when it comes to the corruption in DR. And now we need to see what becomes of this, because this is a big deal. This is a big deal. When you're losing, we know about the age fraud. It's one thing to have age fraud. It's one thing to have performance enhancing drugs at the minor league level, right? Obviously, we've seen minor leaguers get tested, test positive for performance enhancing drugs. Major leaguers, obviously, all that. That's one thing. But it's another thing for academies in La República Dominicana to administer performance enhancing drugs to minors, right? And it's absolutely sad. It's shameful. And first of all, I will say this, right? Excuse me. There are multiple people to blame here. First of all, obviously, um, a lot of these parents, they're in desperate situations where economically they are financially challenged. They're trying to find their ticket out, right? They're dreaming of their children becoming the next Fernando Tatis Jr., the next Juan Soto, etc., right? So they're holding that dream. And so they are doing things, and in essence, a lot of them are just leaving their children in the hands of monsters who don't care about their children, who don't care about the consequence as long as they're able to produce a ball player, right? And it's concerning people's attitudes, right? Because I put out a post on social media. As a matter of fact, yo subí un post por Instagram and Facebook about this, just basically that MLB would be investigating. And the responses I saw are alarming. Everything from, obviously, shame on you, how dare you, they're terrible, hay mucha corrupción, blah, 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 which you would expect, right? But then I heard a lot of Dominicans who turned that around, which I got nothing, this is not personal, please understand what I'm saying here. But a lot of Dominican fans just basically turning a cheek at it, saying, well, it doesn't matter, you're just jealous, they're just trying to produce players, los corruptos son, from MLB and all that stuff. And I'm just thinking, man, like, how blinded could a lot of these people be to miss the point of, hey, they're taking advantage of these children, right? Or these families that are in vulnerable positions financially to sell them a dream. And some of these kids could just lose their lives in the process, right? And so I see something like this and I'm like, how could you people be in such denial? How could you people not be willing to say something and fight for your people? How could you people just constantly allow, the narrative to be, oh, well, you're just jealous. Things are just the way that they are because they are la necesidad, and that's it. And it's like, no. That's not the way things work. That's not the way it goes. These are minors who are being exploited. These are minors who and who can lose their lives or who have lost their lives. And another thing that we know is that the academies over there in Dominican Republic go out of their way to make sure that these things don't come out. There's a bunch of names that we haven't even heard of. There's a lot of cases. This is just the ones we've heard of. There's cases that I've heard things where they try to just bury the kids so that nobody finds them when they die. And they just, they don't care. They just do that just because they want to keep everything on the hush, right? And so that is very alarming. And so MLB will be investigating this, and it's going to be interesting to see what becomes of it, right? Because we could also make the argument, while the system in Dominican Republic is very corrupt, right? The pressure to come out of that poverty, the pressure to develop the next superstar, right? The pressure to get out of those tough financial situations, economic situations, right? In a lot of cases, that extreme poverty, right? That pressure to do that, right? That pressure to do that drives a lot of people to do things that they would not do. The pressure to do that. So some people are justifying it with that. But then another way to look at it is, while these families are terrible for leaving these children, these prospects, in the hands of these monsters to do whatever they want to these children, to these prospects, MLB has turned a blind eye to this for a long time. You cannot tell me that MLB had no idea that this is going on. And this is the other part of it that not enough people are bringing up. And this is why, in part, MLB does not want this out there. They want to kind of quiet this down, because the more this gets, this makes the rounds, the more this type of press gets out there, the more pressure will be placed on MLB to make a difference, to change something. And make no mistake about it, algo tiene que cambiar. Something has to change. Something has to change. This cannot continue to be like this. This wild, wild west over there in República Dominicana, with the academies over there, con los buscones exploiting, and you got these crazy loan sharks, and you got underage children being injected with steroids. You got people falsifying documents. I mean, it's un revolú. Like, it's nuts, right? It's crazy. And that's just what we know, right? Something needs to change. MLB cannot continue to turn a blind eye to it. Junior Naboa, who is the director of Dominican Republic baseball over there, he allows all this to happen too. He needs to be held accountable for a lot of this that's happening. The academies need to be held accountable. From what I've heard, there's a lot of ex-major leaguers who are attached to these academies, from what I've heard, who are investors, who are high rollers in these academies, who also have an interest and a stake in whether some of these prospects pan out. So those people all have their hands dirty. Whoever allows all this stuff to happen, whoever refuses to speak out on this, ex-players, ex-coaches, people who are los buscones, the people who are complicit with all this going on, have blood on their hands as well. There's no other way to say it. MLB, everyone, and this is going to be a topic of discussion for the next collective bargaining agreement. There's no other way around it. Something has to change. Now, with that being said, is the international draft the way to go? That's the question. Is an international draft coming? Is the international draft the solution to have more transparency in this process, right? Is this something that's going to be discussed in the next collective bargaining agreement after the conclusion of the 2026 MLB season? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I cannot tell you definitively that it will change a lot. What I do know is that it will be something different, right? An international draft might be has benefits. It also has some some drawbacks, right? Because when you look at an international draft, the main thing is how do you institute it, right? That's going to be the most difficult thing. Policing it won't be that hard, right? Obviously, you figure out formatting and all that, but how do you institute it? How do you institute an international draft? The logistics, the financial aspect. How do you determine how much is invested here, invested there? What would become of the academies? There's so much to determine in an instance like that. So that's why I say an international draft. I think MLB, there's a lot of people in MLB who would like it, but I just need to see how would that work. I'm not saying that I don't, that I'm for it. I'm not saying I'm against it. I just need to have ideas as far as like, how would it work, right? How would you institute such a process? It's very complicated. Having an international draft, what would happen with Canada and Puerto Rico? How would you have them in the international draft? Would you have them included in the international draft, right? Would it be for everyone? What would become of the MLB draft, the regular, MLB draft, right? What would become of the bonuses, the international money pool, right? Um, what changes, if anything, can we make to Japan, right? I know that the Japan league over there, they have a system where you have to, I think the native players from over there have to play 6 years, algo así, 6 or 7 years before they can even come to the major leagues, right? What changes, if any, would be able to be made, right? In Japan, there's so many things. So, pero nada, we'll see how that goes. We'll see what becomes of that. It'll be very interesting nonetheless. And I just want to say that, it's important now that news outlets speak on this, which is why I'm speaking on this. And por favor, I have a lot of Dominican followers, a lot of Dominican friends. Um, you know, I have a lot, I mean, Dominican family. This is not personal. So I need people to understand that, right? This is not personal. And people take it the wrong way because of the messenger, right? Do not take this personal. This is not me suggesting something in a personal way, or it's not a personal attack. It's legitimate. It's legitimately me bringing awareness to a subject that is essentially being buried in the background. This is something that I want to be out there. So, which is why I'm using my platform to discuss this, because this is something that needs to be discussed. This is something that needs to be pushed out there. This is something that needs to be mainstream, because when you're talking about the welfare of children, when you're talking about families being affected, when you're talking about corruption, when you're talking about tons of things that are going on and nothing is being done to combat them, that's an issue. And that's when I have a problem with it. So that's when I raise my voice to it and bring attention to those matters. But in any event, I'm sure we'll hear more in the coming months, hopefully, on this. If you dig deep enough, you'll find it, right? As apparently, and Dominican Republic is not addressing this. You're not seeing all those people, bastante plataforma existen. Hay mucha plataforma. Nadie habla de esto. Mike Deporte, nada. No quiere hablar de esto. Héctor Gómez no habla de esto. Nadie quiere hablar de esto. So, former major leaguers, talk about it. David Ortiz, talk about it. There's so many great players who went through the system and stuff. Talk about it. Denounce it. Talk about how this is not okay. You guys can make a difference. You really could. Pero nada, turn the page on that. Let's go into my next point, which is Aroldis Chapman. Aroldis Chapman picked up his 370th save. And a lot of people, this is very interesting, right? Because we understand Aroldis Chapman has been one of the better, more consistent closers in all of baseball for some years, right? He's had a couple peaks and valleys here and there. Pero a pesar de todo, if you look at his career numbers, he has been outstanding, right? Last year with Boston, he put up ridiculous numbers. I mean, when you take a look at his numbers last year in Boston, he was outstanding, right? Last year in Boston, I'm going to pull this up right now. I want to see something, because I was looking through his numbers and making the comparisons. I mean, last year in Boston, he had, his ERA was 1.73. Was it? No, I'm sorry. My apologies. Hold on. No. 1.32 was his ERA last year. Did a great job in Boston. Was great. Really reminded everyone of who he was and who he's been throughout his career, right? And so I think that when we talk about closers with the Hall of Fame, I feel like the voters are a little, I don't know, like voters are very harsh on relief pitchers, right? I think voters are talking about Hall of Fame voters are very harsh on relievers and judging the careers of relievers. And we're looking at a Hall of Famer here. Aroldis Chapman is a Hall of Famer. I said it. I said it. Now, I know he had a domestic violence issue some years back. That's okay. Fine. Take that and put that to the side. For now, if that factors in the voting, fine. That's beyond our control, right? I'm just talking about on the field for now, right? The other stuff is whatever. Let's just talk on the field. So I made the comparison with a couple of somewhat contemporary examples for the Hall of Fame, right? Who are Hall of Famers right now. And Aroldis Chapman's numbers are right there with those numbers, with those individuals. So check this out. Let's take a look at this. I'm gonna show you something right now. Let's go through this, right? We're gonna do the comparison. So here are Aroldis Chapman's stats, his statistical comparison with Lee Smith and Billy Wagner, two of the better closers of their respective eras, right? We're gonna do that right now. So here it is, right? Here it is. Billy Wagner. Espérate. Un momentito, espérate. Okay. Billy Wagner. With we're gonna do Billy Wagner with hold on a second. Okay. Your browser has blocked your screen. This is wonderful. This sucks. Whatever. So my computer's acting wild now. Great. I can't share. But what I will say is this. Right? Let's go to I'm going to go to Baseball Reference real quick. So let's do it like this. Okay, cuz this is kind of getting me annoyed. Hold on. Let's do it. Okay. Entire screen. Oh, okay. Okay, so let's take a look. Look at this, right? Take a look at this. Espérate. All right. This is nuts, right? Aroldis Chapman and Lee Smith. Aroldis Chapman has a 24.4 WAR, career WAR. Lee Smith has a 28.9 career WAR. Billy Wagner has a 27.7 career WAR. And this is all in less games than Lee Smith, more games than Billy Wagner. Look at that. Look at that WAR. Unbelievable, right? Win-loss record, I don't really care about that, is whatever, right? Who cares about that? But take a look at the other stats, okay? Billy Wagner has a 2.31 career ERA, right? Aroldis Chapman's ERA is 2.52. He is right there. He is right there with Billy Wagner, and he has a better ERA than Lee Smith. Lee Smith has a 3.03 ERA. Check this out. Aroldis Chapman also has more strikeouts and a higher K percentage than Lee Smith. Aroldis Chapman has 1,334 strikeouts, 39.7 K percentage, right? Compared to Lee Smith, who has 1,251 strikeouts, 23.2 K percentage, and Billy Wagner with 1,196 strikeouts and 33.2% K percentage. Ladies and gentlemen, and check this out. Aroldis Chapman is an 8-time All-Star. He's been an All-Star more times than Lee Smith, who was 7-time All-Star, and Billy Wagner, also 7-time All-Star. Okay? Aroldis Chapman has been just as good as those guys. He has been just as good as Billy Wagner and Lee Smith. Just as good. Okay? Like I said, like I was saying, though, put the other things off the behavioral issue, the domestic violence issue to the side, because I'm talking strictly from on the field, an on the field standpoint, right? So let's just keep it to on the field. But Aroldis Chapman has 370 saves, right, for his career. Aroldis Chapman is 30 saves short of a 400. And a lot of people say that he needs those 400 saves to be a Hall of Famer. I think it would make a better case. But to me, I think if Aroldis Chapman retired right now, to me, he's a Hall of Famer. That's to me. I think he is, since Mariano retired, to me, Aroldis Chapman is the best closer that we've had in baseball after Mariano Rivera. Talking about the modern era. Since he retired, he's been the best one. And I don't think it's particularly close when you take a look at you want to make an argument for Kenley Jensen, go ahead. I'm talking about the guy who's still pitching on that level, Kenley Jensen's another argument, that's fine. But I'm talking about Aroldis Chapman, to me, is a Hall of Famer. So we'll see if he gets the 400 saves, it's going to have a more compelling argument. But yeah, that's just me. That's why I look at it. So yeah. Now, last but not least, will José Altuve reach 3,000 hits? So here's the thing with this, right? I have a lot of Yankee fan followers and subscribers who just hate Altuve, right? Hate the Astros. I understand. I get it, right? I understand why you hate José Altuve. I get it, right? By all intents and purposes, he didn't like wearing well, I don't know if he really wore the wire. They say he did, whatever. He didn't like the trash can banging thing or whatever. But whatever, right? José Altuve now has 2,402 hits over his illustrious career. One of the best second basemen we've seen in the modern era, especially offensively. Defensively, he's kind of so-so, average, I would say. But just, his offensive numbers, stolen bases, just clutch, postseason, just everything. He's been a great player. So the question is, will José Altuve reach 3,000 hits? Right? So let me see what José Altuve would have to do to get to the 3,000 hits, right? Because he's on the back end of his career. He's not quite in his prime anymore. Obviously, he's not. Pues vamos a ver. Entonces, José Altuve tiene 35 años. Okay? 35 years old. Came up at age 21. Has had an outstanding career. I mean, when you look, it's got 257 career homers, 895 career RBI. He is a career 303 hitter. Now he actually has 2,403 hits over his career. He's off to a very good start this year. 326 stolen bases. You're looking at a guy who has an MVP, 9-time All-Star, one batting champion, ALCS MVP, 2-time World Series winner, 7 Silver Sluggers. I mean, this guy has done it all. He's been a great player over his career. There's no other way to say it. So can he get to 3,000 hits, though? That's the question, right? So let's say, wow, okay. Last year, he had 156 hits. He played in 155 games. The year before that, he had 185 hits. He played in 153 games. I will say this. If José Altuve can stay healthy and average 150 hits over the next, let's see, right now, he needs 597 hits to get to 597 hits. So let's see, to get to 3,000. 597, that's all he needs. So that's pretty attainable, man. I'll be honest with you. Like I knew the number, I was looking at it, but now just looking at the games he's played over the past several years, man, he has a chance. He really does. Man, if Jose Altuve can average 145 hits, 145 hits over the next, let's see. Let me see something. Hold on. I'm gonna see. What did I say? 597, right? Well, I'm out. 597 divided by. So, all right. Let's say he plays. All right, 4 more years. If Jose Altuve can average 149 hits over 4 years, he will get the 3,000 hits. The question will be, can he stay healthy? I want to, you know what? My first initial reaction, if you would ask me, will Jose Altuve get 3,000 hits? My first reaction was like, no. That was my first answer. But looking at how he's been able to stay healthy the past couple years, looking at the fact that he's 35 right now, he's not 38, he's not 39. Looking at his game, the way he's aged pretty well, decent. 4 years? Does he have 4 years left with 149 hits a year? You know what? I think he can do it, man. I think Jose Altuve can get to 3,000 hits. I really do. I think he's going to do it. I think he's going to do it, which would give the Astros, if he does it with the Astros, obviously. We don't know if he's going to be there all that time. That's another thing. We can't predict that. If Jose Altuve is an Astro for the rest of his career and he gets to 3,000 hits, it'll be he and Craig Biggio to get 3,000 hits. Not bad. Second baseman, both. Pretty good. Pretty good. Now, if you ask me, Jose Altuve is a better player than Biggio ever was. That's just, I don't even think that's debatable. But Biggio just hung around like forever. So, but anyway, that's all we got. Let me know, guys. What do you think? What are your thoughts on MLB investigating the academy corruption in La República Dominicana? What are your thoughts on Aroldis Chapman? Is he a Hall of Famer? Am I out of my mind for suggesting that? Jose Altuve, will he reach 3,000 hits for his career? Obviously, another guy who's probably a Hall of Famer as well. All that and more. Let me know. Comment below if you're watching on YouTube and on social media. Don't forget to follow me, The Baseball Aficionado. Let's keep the conversation going. And as always, live life as if you're in a 3-2 count. Until next time. Damn it.